Okay, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Andrew, otherwise known as Caroline's tall, bald, straight best friend. Or Debbie Oliver's brother. Now, it was difficult to think of how to begin my speech this evening. There were many options. Drunken nights out with Caroline, Caroline's brushes with the law, Caroline's dubious fashion choices, including those infamous shell suits that she wore in her youth, or even Caroline's ex-girlfriends. I thought long and hard about this, and it eventually decided to play it fairly safe and start off by talking about Caroline's driving skills. Now, if you've ever been a passenger in a car with Caroline and survived, you'll know it can be an experience. I remember getting into the maroon Rover Metro the day that Caroline passed a test, and I was excited that another one of my friends had a car. But after 2 minutes of fast acceleration and hard braking, I was feeling sick and traumatised. I made the excuse of wanting fresh air and walked the rest of the way home. Anyway, I stayed away from being a passenger in Caroline's cars and hoped that her driving would improve with experience. Unfortunately, a few weeks later I got a phone call from Caroline to say that she was at a crash scene on Oldham Road waiting for the police to arrive. But it wasn't her fault. And unfortunately, John didn't realise just how bad a driver Caroline was, and rather foolishly, a few months after that last incident, lent Caroline his car. And that evening, Caroline phoned to say she was outside the Broadway pub, and I said, "Oh, that's great, I went around the corner, I'll join you for a pint." And Caroline quickly corrected me to say that unfortunately she parked John's car in the middle of Broadway, wrapped around the traffic lights. Anyway, thankfully, Caroline's driving has improved, but a common sense where cars are concerned hasn't. Not so long ago, Caroline got home from work and went for a nap, with her front door open and her car keys on the table. I don't need to finish this, do I? I think Caroline mentioned before what got stolen for a car that day. But anyway, Caroline's driving does require some improvement, and I could go on all day trying to embarrass Caroline, but I'm here to say nice things too. So here goes. Caroline and I were at high school together, but didn't speak to each other once. It was only after we left that we were both involved in a pantomime at St Herbert's that we got to know each other through my sister Debbie, and we didn't really speak that much during the rehearsals, but I think Caroline took pity on me, as I didn't really know many people at the time, and she offered me a lift to the pub after one of the rehearsals. It was only when I stepped onto the car park that I realised that this wasn't going to be an ordinary lift. I was going to be crammed into the back of John and Eileen's car with about 7 or 8 other people like sardines in a Skoda. Now, I can't remember much more of that evening, but I do remember a few days later when I ended up in another pub with Caroline, whilst all the St Herbert's lot were doing their karaoke thing, and Caroline declared that I was quite fun, and that we should go out more on weeknights. Now, I wasn't sure whether to be flattered by the fact that Caroline wanted to spend more time together, or offended that I wasn't quite cool enough to be seen with at weekends. I went along with the plan, and we proceeded to go out together virtually every weeknight and every weekend for the next few months, much to the shock of my liver and the disapproval of my mother, who, for the record, banned me from going out with my new friend Caroline. I don't think it helped that most of the evenings that we went out, we were chauffeured by Cheryl in her smoke-filled boy racer cars. So it didn't look great when I regularly got home late, smelling of smoke, falling over the doorstep after trying to round with Caroline. And it certainly didn't help when Debbie joined us on these nights and managed to keep her composure and return home and make me look like a drunken fool. Speaking of rounding with Caroline, it was around this time that I met Caroline's family. Now, needless to say, I never attempted to round with them again after our Leslie and Uncle Terence introduced me to the fine art of ordering 3 pints at last orders. Now, I mentioned earlier that my mother despaired sometimes. Well, I wondered if Caroline's mum did too, because She put Garforth Street up for sale and declared that she and John were going to look for a house near Hollingworth Lake. Now, I said that I think she could hear the worry in my voice when I very directly told Irene that there was no way that she could move to Hollingworth Lake because I'd have to do an hour cycle every time I wanted to visit, or God forbid, learn to drive. Now, in addition to this, I wondered how Caroline and I were ever going to instruct taxis to get us back after a night out if we couldn't shout, Garforth Street, white fence, big windows. It was at Garforth Street that I met more of Caroline's family, notably our Auntie Lynn and the very posh Auntie Bernice, with whom I spent many evenings admiring John's decorating skills. And for any of you that don't know John, John managed to paper a square of flowery wallpaper in the middle of the living room ceiling with a very neat border going around the edge, and to this day I've never seen decorating like it. And they sold the house. Anyway, I could go on talking about our friendship and all the daft things that we got up to, but I've been given very strict instructions by Caroline that I have 10 minutes and no more because, I quote, "We are on a very tight schedule for the day, Andrew." They were late. Now, this is probably a good thing, as it means I won't have to mention the holidays that we've been on, which is a relief, as me and Phil will probably be more embarrassed by the stories than Caroline will. Anyway, this tight schedule is, as many of you know, how Caroline runs her life. There is not a minute of Caroline's time that goes unaccounted for. She's at her happiest when she is busy. And when I say busy, I don't just mean busy earning money at work. She's usually busy doing good deeds for other people. She spends a lot of time preparing for and helping out with the Lord's pilgrimage. She does youth work, mentoring teenagers who have various issues. She completes crazy challenges to raise funds for charity. But most importantly, Caroline gives her time freely to her friends and family. I'm sure there are many of you here who Caroline has helped through difficult times in your life, whether it be through sending a funny card in the post to cheer you up, or going for a drink and a chat when something has gone wrong. She's always been there for me when I've needed someone, and I know for sure that she is a rock for so many other people who are here this evening. The fact that Caroline is there for so many people became really apparent after speaking with many of her friends on a hen do, all of whom spoke very fondly of Caroline and what a quality human being she is. Speaking of Caroline's hen do, it was the first and probably will be the last hen do that I will ever attend. But there are benefits to going on a hen do instead of a stag do, such as you get to take it all easy in a spa all afternoon. But then, and bear in mind our Leslie wasn't here at that point, I ordered half a lager and a Diet Coke. Nobody judged me for it. A big thank you for Debbie for organising the hen party with what can only be described as military precision. And I have, for the record, now deleted the 268 emails that were issued in the organising process. I've not mentioned Catherine yet, have I? Anyway, apparently, I used to attend school with Catherine too. I've no recollection of this. But when she turned up at one of Caroline's barbecues and wasn't officially introduced to me, I knew there must have been something going on. Especially when every time I mentioned Catherine, Caroline's face turned a very different colour. It is funny though how Caroline gets so embarrassed when we speak about her love life, because as many of you will know, she's had a very, very interesting love life in the past. Therefore, it was of great relief to me when Caroline eventually admitted that she and Catherine were an item, and it was serious. And the pair of them came round to our house for tea not long after, and it was really clear that Catherine was the right person for Caroline. Yeah. She really seemed to understand her. Importantly for me and my wife Louise, we too knew on that evening that we had a new friend for life in Catherine. I must begin to wrap up. about this a bit now. Otherwise, I might just ruin Caroline's very tight schedule for the day. But in order to sum up, I'm going to do something slightly different. Those of you that know Caroline will know how important her faith is to her. And therefore, although it isn't possible for Caroline and Catherine's union to be recognised in an official church service, I've written a short prayer to conclude. So, today we give thanks to the Lord God above for the joy we all feel on this day. You taught us the way we should live is through love, so for Caroline and Catherine we pray. We pray for their friendship through all of their lives, that each other they shall always adore. We ask that they'll always be happy as wives, be they sick, in health, rich or poor. We pray as their families and friends here together, that we may support them through all that they do. We think of their loved ones remembered forever, and know that in heaven they celebrate too. So for Caroline and Catherine we plead, and through our Mother Mary we do pray, that for our couple she might intercede for blessings on them both today. Amen. Please be upstanding and raise a toast with me to my friends, Caroline and Catherine. Caroline and Catherine. And welcome Michele onto the stage.